An estimated 92% of SaaS companies fail within 3 years despite initial growth and funding. Now, if you watch this channel, you've downloaded my 5-point strategy guide, we all know this stat, and it's not inspiring. It's not inspiring to me. But here is what is inspiring. That means 8% of startups do well. And SaaS is an incredible business model, an incredible category. It's more exciting than ever with AI. And so it's worth going after being one of those 8% of companies that do incredibly well. But here's the big question. What are the companies that fail, those 92% of companies, what are they doing wrong? But more importantly, what are the 8% that's doing it well? What are they doing right? So I asked myself the question, what are the top 3 things that SaaS founders do wrong? What are things that I did wrong when I was starting my own SaaS businesses? So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 biggest mistakes that I see SaaS founders make consistently. I made these mistakes, Baby TK did, and founders I work with today. I work with over 250 SaaS founders, and I serve all the founders in this channel. We're at over 43,000 subscribers now. I see these mistakes over and over and over. I'm gonna distill it down to the 3 biggest mistakes that I see that are connected to this 92% failure rate. And what I'm gonna walk you through is what those 3 things are and how you can do the opposite to actually win. And when you know about these 3 most common mistakes and you do the opposite, you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS business faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, this fast growing, it's going so fast, it's insane, and I'm very grateful for it. If you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. So my last SaaS business, ToutApp, that was technically my second SaaS idea. My first one completely failed. And the reason ToutApp started to work, especially so quickly, is because I made these 2 first mistakes, the 2 biggest mistakes that I'm gonna be highlighting. I made them myself, and then I learned from it. But then ToutApp started to grow. We raised funding. We were backed by Andreessen Horowitz. And then I made this 3rd mistake, which I see founders make all the time as well. So I'm gonna cover that. Eventually, we scaled ToutApp. We sold it to a company called Marketo. And then I worked at Marketo, and I saw these 3 mistakes across the board with other SaaS companies. And now fast forward with this channel, I work with over 250 SaaS companies. I serve over 43,000 subscribers on this channel. So I see these 3 mistakes over and over. So given my experience across 15 years in SaaS, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 biggest reasons startup companies and SaaS companies fail and how you can do the opposite to make sure that you succeed. So if you're excited to dig into mistake number 1, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it. Let's dig right into it. So the first mistake that I see founders make, that Baby TK made even, is to fall into what we call the one more feature trap. I see a lot of founders, in fact, I meet them, my team meets with them. They come in different inflection points, but they're like pre-revenue. They have a product built, but nothing's working. There's no pipeline, there's no conversion, there's no revenues. And they're like, no. We don't need to work on go-to-market. We're not ready to launch yet. We're gonna go build this one more feature. So I see that all the time, and I call it the one more feature trap because every founder thinks that they're just this one feature away from everyone lining up and saying, oh my God, this is the best product ever, please take my money. It never happens. And what they do is they avoid actually building out their go-to-market strategy, their go-to-market machine, and getting into customer conversations so that they can actually figure out what's missing in the product. They kind of stay within their comfort zone. And what also happens, this gets even worse at later stages when I see SaaS companies that were doing well and all of a sudden they stop. The conversion's not there, the pipeline's not there, the market dynamics shift, and they're like, oh, we got to build these 5 features. And they keep building those features and nothing fixes itself. And they go back into that trap. And what ends up happening with the one more feature trap is A, they just never go do the work that's necessary. They avoid go to market, but B, because they keep adding more features, this is the worst part of this, they keep adding more features, the product becomes more complex. The way they try to sell the product becomes even more complex, and customers just are like, I don't know what you're selling. This ain't it. I don't need it. And they fall into this perpetual cycle of never being able to escape it. And they have a monstrosity of a product with burn going up and no revenues coming in. In case you are feeling this, don't worry, I made the same mistake. Smash that like button if you are with me, just so I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. But also, the reason I get so passionate about this is, oh my God, from my perspective, having gone through it and like lived it, and then when I talk to people, it's like, it drives me nuts. Because I'm like, oh my God, this is so painful. This is so painful. How do I get you to realize you were in the one more feature trap? And a lot of times I do talk to founders like, oh my God, we were in the one more feature trap. When I saw any of your videos, I knew it right away. And so the reason I get so impassioned about this is because I see it and I know how much it sucks to be in that one more feature trap. Because it's not like you're dumb. It's not like founders are dumb or I'm dumb. It's that that's our comfort zone. We know we can always build that one more feature, and you do that GitHub check-in and you launch that feature. Like, it's within your wheelhouse, and so you just keep doing it because it's in your comfort zone. Whereas doing all this stuff around go-to-market, talking to strangers, them saying no, sending emails, running ads, like all those things are not in the natural founder's wheelhouse. And so we just don't do it, even though that's the real way you can actually break through, because real customer conversations gives you real problems and real features that your product is lacking and real reasons why they're not buying. And you're able to actually go back in and build the right feature instead of the one more feature trap. So that's principle number one. The principle number two, or mistake number two, and I'll talk about how to do the opposite, but they'll be pretty obvious. The second one that I see very often is the massive ICP trap. This one's not as obvious as this one. Like when I say the one more feature trap, founders immediately get it. And more than they get it, you can see it in their eyes and you can see that they're feeling it in their gut because this is their life and the pain is real. The massive ICP trap is a little bit more deceiving. What ends up with the massive ICP trap is they've got a product, they've got some revenues, or they have been growing and all of a sudden it stalls, but all of a sudden they just don't know how to continue it forward. They don't know how to grow it. And what they end up doing is they try to make it where it's anything and everything for everyone. They don't go after a specific segment of the market. Now, what is really happening, and I've seen this enough times, and I've gotten enough founders, and I helped enough founders to get out of it, and I had to get out of it myself, is we confuse our TAM for our ICP. So the TAM is your total addressable market. This is all the people that can possibly use your product. The ICP is a specific segment of the market that's underserved, that has an urgent and important problem, that can use your product right now to help you get to that next stage of growth. That's the difference. And as founders, we want to build massive companies. We don't want to belittle the solution we're building. We know what it's capable of. What we are often not willing to admit is like, look, I need to be serving this part of the market first so that I can earn the right to actually serve the bigger market. Because this part of the market is where I can compete. This part of the market I'm not ready for. But when you're trying to do everything, you're trying to be everything to everyone and nothing works. It's counterintuitive. The best example I can give you, the way I can get founders to like snap out of it is like, okay, look, Amazon. They started in 1999 or 1998 by selling books online at a time when no one bought anything online, let alone books. Then they earned the right to sell everything everywhere. So they knew they needed to get hyper-focused on just books, just online, even though they wanted to be Earth's greatest store. But they focused on their ICP, and then they expanded that ICP over time to fulfill their TAM and grow their TAM. Uber is a great example of this as well. They started with going after the existing black car market, and then they moved to providing transportation for everyone, everywhere. That's the power of an ICP. And when I work with founders on their ICP, there are 29 different points we look at. Everyone thinks they have an ICP until they actually work with me. But that's the power of it. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because so many founders fall into the ICP trap and they end up neither here nor there. The worst part of all of this is these two. Remember how I told you my first startup, my first SaaS company that I was trying to build, like I learned these mistakes the hard way. These two compound on each other when you're making both of these mistakes, because you'll go after a massive ICP, so you're trying to be everything to everyone, and you talk to all those people and they say, I don't want to buy. So you go back and you say, oh, I just need to build this one more feature because so-and-so said they'd buy if I build this feature, and you go build that feature and you try to go after another group of people just in part of that massive ICP or your total TAM, and they're like, no, but I need this one feature. So you keep building these features, keep going after a massive ICP, keep going building, and you just die. And that's what happens. And that's what happened to me until I broke through. These are two that are the most common that I see even today. I started in this game. I started in SaaS, like Baby TK was back in like 2009, 2010. I really got into it. Even today, as I meet founders, I see this all the time. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, how do you actually flip just these two? Well, you stop thinking in terms of the one more feature trap and you start talking to real customers through a proper go-to-market strategy. How do you get a proper go-to-market strategy? Well, you actually build out an ICP and get much more focused about what you're doing. Ironically, building a go-to-market strategy and talking to customers and actually trying to sell the product helps you build a better product. And that's the crazy part about this. Now, before I keep going and go to number 3, which is the big one, this one hurt the most. Let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Are you starting to see the power on why these 3, or at least these 2 that I've shared so far, hold back so many founders? And are you starting to see the power if you were to just flip this and stop thinking about one more feature, and just start thinking about, well, what does the customer want? Let's go build that. And you actually build out a proper go-to-market strategy and get focused on your ICP and get focused on the messaging and start to attract those people and then build around them. You're starting to see the power of how that's such a better way to do this. Can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really loves it when you do that. Now, if you're at this stage, either you're pre-revenue or you're at that stage where you've exceeded the existing network of people that you can sell to and no one else is buying, or you were selling and all of a sudden you just hit an inflection point, it's no longer selling, then you need a revamped go-to-market strategy. And this is exactly what I do with founders inside of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video, but I'll link to it below as well. But that's just something I want you to know, because there are solutions to this. And that's what I work on all day long. And that's what I love doing what I do. All right, so let's go to number 3, because this problem comes up and it came up for me a little bit later. Once I learned these 2, I was still hit with this number 3 problem. And this number 3 problem is that we didn't do the math trap. We didn't do the math trap. This is the math for every single business and also every single SaaS business. If you generate 100 leads, this is the math, okay? If you generate 100 leads, the law of averages means that 10 of them will lead to real opportunities. Meaning 10% will become real opportunities that would actually qualify to purchase your product. This could be where they're at the actual fit, or it could be like they're actually interested. Either way, 10%. Out of those 10 opportunities, 2 will become customers. That's the 20% conversion. That is the math. And a lot of people don't do the math, which means that even to just get 1 customer, if you're pre-revenue, just to get 1 customer, you need to have 50 conversations. And guess what? This is not just in the early stages. This is even in the later stages. If you've all of a sudden exhausted your current network of people that you can sell to, or you had this one channel that was getting you revenues that it's no longer bearing fruit, and you're like, how do we get more pipeline? How do we kickstart growth? Or you're just stuck at a certain revenue level, just realize that there is math to this. In order to get 1 more customer, you roughly need to get into 50 conversations with people in your ICP. And a lot of people don't do that math. I didn't do that math. I remember when we were scaling, I'm like, how do we grow? How come we're not going faster? The stuff that we did, it should be getting us to this next level. What got me to say $1 million in ARR, I realized very quickly, wouldn't get me to $3 million in ARR. Different revenue stages need new and more scalable ways of growing. And ultimately, it's because with larger numbers, you need more leverage and you need more scale, because this math does not change. It's the law of averages. And I see so many founders struggle with this because they just don't do the math. This is the law of averages. This is not some TK's SaaS principle law. This is literally the law of averages, applies to everything in life. And that 10% will convert to real opportunities and 20% will convert to real customers. Can these percentages be higher? Absolutely, it can. I've seen it. But this is the bare minimum. Just to get 1 more customer, you need 50 quality conversations in your ICP. And so that essentially draws this big line, right? Founders who actually want to do the opposite of these top 3 mistakes can either choose one of 2 things. 1, you can continue to keep doing what you're doing, the 1 more feature trap, just keep building more features, go after a massively undifferentiated market in an undifferentiated way, and just ignore the math. Or you can say, all right, you know what? I'm not going to do the features anymore. Instead, I'm actually going to think about how do I get into 50 conversations every week, or every day, or every hour, depending on the scale you want to pursue. In order to do that, you actually need a proper strategy to actually drive this kind of scale, to get into 50 conversations so you actually stand a chance at one customer. Now, I don't care if you are pre-revenue, you are at $1 million, you're at a 3 million, this is what you need to do to get to that next stage, because you wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't stuck. There's 3 core things that you would need to do to actually do the opposite of these 3 mistakes that every founder makes and Baby TK made and learned the hard way. The first one I already told you. You want to get very specific about your ideal customer profile. Given your product, given the problem you're solving, there's a specific segment of the market that's more likely to actually purchase. Now, this is not just a direct answer. You have to analyze this and understand exactly what it is. It's not that complicated if you follow a framework, which is what I do with founders, but that's what you need to do. Once you have that, then you need to figure out what your message is. I call this the manifesto. This is a combination of your value proposition, your positioning, and your strategic narrative. This is the thing that you put on your website, your ads, your cold email copy, all the way down to your pitch deck. Now, this is built off of your ICP. The more focused and specific and detailed your ideal customer profile is, the more effective your messaging is going to be. The more unfocused it is, the worse it's going to be, and it's not going to work. And then the third piece is you need to now mobilize this manifesto to your ICP. You need to figure out ways where you can bring this manifesto to your ideal customers on a consistent basis so you can consistently get these 50 conversations to get that one customer. And that's what I call your Broadway show. This is a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that you're going to do to actually get into these conversations, which 10% of them will turn into real opportunities. And by the way, this number does go up as you get better with your message and with your leverage. And 20% of them will become customers. And it doesn't matter what your revenue target is, these laws apply. And so you'll have to figure out how to build the right scalable machine so you can do this effectively. And that's how you do the opposite. So to recap, number 1, biggest mistake that founders make even today and Baby TK made, stay in the one more feature trap. Just keep coding, because we're comfortable with that. I'm an engineer. So much easier for me to just put my headphones on, go back to my comfort zone and say, I'm going to build this one more feature. And they're going to love it when I put this out. Everyone's going to want to buy it. You can try that. Try that for a little bit, or maybe you have already. See how that goes. You can also just go after everyone instead of having a true ideal customer profile with specifics. And the other is you don't do the math. Those are the 3 biggest things that founders make a mistake on. And that's why the failure rate is so high. However, if you want to do the opposite, stop building more features. Stop going after a massive ICP and figure out your number. So you figure out what your ideal customer profile is, get specific, then flesh out your messaging so you can actually bring that to your ICP on a consistent basis and start adhering to the laws of averages and the math that applies to actually generate revenues. And I've followed this framework 1 billion times in my own life in 15 years of SaaS, and now with over 250 SaaS companies that I coach on this exact framework. And there's so many letters I get from folks who watch this channel across anywhere from pre-revenue all the way upwards to 100 million in revenue. I've heard from people. In my coaching programs, I have people from pre-revenue, they have a product built and they're trying to get to the first dollar, upwards of 100 million in revenue. I've seen across the board for these folks who understand, okay, I need to get out of the one more feature trap, build a go-to-market strategy, and understand the math so I know how much activity I need to drive. And that's what it takes to get to that next level of growth. So now you know what the top 3 mistakes are for SaaS founders that we all make and what holds us back from getting to that next stage of growth. And now you also know how you can flip these and do the opposite. Instead of staying in the one more feature trap, going after a massive ICP and not doing the math, get specific on your ICP, develop your message, get in front of these people, and guess what? They'll tell you in a very specific way exactly what they need to buy. And you'll know what features to build, you'll generate revenues, and it'll become a perpetual motion machine from there. This will become a flywheel for your business. And based off of this, you're gonna get revenues and you're gonna get a better roadmap. So you'll never be in the one more feature trap. And as you get more revenues, guess what? You can go back to this and grow your ICP and go after that world domination. Now you know what the top 3 mistakes are and how to do the opposite to actually drive growth for your SaaS business. What you may not know is, hey TK, how do I flesh out my ICP? How do I flesh out my manifesto? And how do I run a Broadway show? This is exactly why I run my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. Inside of this program, I give you the step-by-step framework on how to actually build out a scalable go-to-market machine so you can drive growth for your SaaS business. And when you join, you and I work together to make sure that you're set up for success and you're actually driving that growth. So if you want to learn more about the program and you want to work together, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. tkkader.com/GTM. If you want to start working together after you look at that page where you get all of the details, you just have to fill out a little form. We'll get on a call. We'll make sure that you're a good fit for what I do. The better the fit, the better the results, and then we're off to the races. It's an incredible program. I've been running it for years after having done this for over a decade. So that's why this works so well. This is literally me from the trenches, working with founders like you, implementing these pieces after I've done it myself in SaaS. It's an incredible program. Just go to tkkader.com/GTM. Also, if you got value from these top 3 mistakes, if this resonates with you, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also comment below with your story. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you have a fellow founder or team member, if you're part of a Slack group or a WhatsApp group with other SaaS founders, please share this video with them. I want to help as many SaaS founders as possible in avoiding these mistakes and actually getting to growing their SaaS companies. It would just mean the world to us. We put a lot of love into these videos. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you'll get notified every single time I do an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside the SaaS Go-to-Market Coaching Program. Take care, everybody. And when you follow these 3 principles and do the opposite of what the most,